Let's get to crude oil now as the prices have continued to slide. Right now around $46.50 a barrel, so down another $3 today. You have oversupply worries out there, and the obvious kind of upside for consumers, at least in all of this, is that the prices at the pump have continued to go down as well. The national average now $2.37 a gallon for regular unleaded gasoline. Weighing in on the kind of effect of all of this from Efficient Advisors, Chief Investment Officer Larry Shover. And Larry, we've talked about it for weeks. The consumer essentially gets this tax cut when the price of oil goes down. But now, aren't we at a point where, enough is enough already in terms of the economy and people that are producing oil in states like Texas?
Yeah, Connell, let's put it into perspective. I mean, this is more about the run-up that we saw in October up to $75 a barrel. I mean, on a 52-week basis, oil's only down 14%. It's definitely down 31% since September. But when you put it in perspective, it's not that big of a deal.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, put it that way. I fully acknowledge that the oil mining extraction business is twice as important as it was even 10 years ago. 5 times more of an economic contribution than 20 years ago. But I also fully acknowledge that the old adage that 10% drop in oil equals a quarter-point rise in GDP. That's false. But net, it's way better for the consumer. We don't know how it plays out. A lot of it has to do with where we are in the business cycle. Recall in 2015, we had the lowest retail sales number in 6 years.
Right.
And that's after oil went down, 50 to 75%. So it's hard to know how it's going to play out, but I believe
it's a good thing. It's a positive. Okay,
yes.
I get it. And totally understand the argument from the consumer's point of view. What I would say, to go back to your earlier point, though, about how important oil producing has become to the U.S. economy, if you go to a state like Texas, or you go out to North Dakota and you see these shale drillers, that has been, not only given us an economic kind of boost, and those areas are doing well. Those people would argue, and I think some of the government argue, that's a big national security issue as well, because it allows the United States to be such a big oil producer, now the #1 in the world, and it improves us from a national security standpoint. You look at the numbers, oil production from 7 major shale oil basins in the U.S. expected to top 8 million barrels a day by the end of the year for the first time. Problem is, they need the price to be at a certain level. They keep falling, then those producers stop producing, right?
Yeah, and I hate to sound pedestrian about this, but I think it's really true. I mean, lower prices, especially in commodities, just forces ingenuity and forces people to do things to make the price work. Remember back 4 or 5 years ago, they would say, oh, shale needs $80 a barrel to break even or some crazy
They used to
amount.
say
That wasn't
50.
true.
They said 50 for a long time, but now it's a little lower, I think.
50. Yeah, and I think it increases that. We've seen that over the last century where it just increases ingenuity. And I think, yeah, they're definitely hurting the energy sector, and 2% of the economy is directly tied to the extraction mining business. That said, I think overall it's better for the consumer, better for the economy, and long run, better for those companies to increase their ingenuity.
A net positive, says Larry. Thank you, Larry. Good to see you. As always, thanks for coming on.